Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. Today's subject is optimize your resource allocation in SAP. My name is Kwan Nguyen. I'm a product manager at SOA People. Before we start, I have a few words about SOA People, the company. So we are a leading European company specialized in providing service and products in SAP solutions. SOA People has been founded in 2007, so we are now present on the market for more than 12 years. SOA People, it's 600 experts providing service and knowledge and expertise in virtually all SAP solutions. And we are proud today to serve more than 900 customers from 5 countries in Europe. Of course, we have ambition to grow and penetrate new markets. This webinar, as usual, it's a 30 minutes format. If you have questions during the presentation, please feel free to use the question section and drop them there. And at the end of the presentation, we would be grateful if you could spend a couple of minutes answering the questions of the post. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started. Maintenance is the new profit center. Well, it's a bold statement, but not so long ago, maintenance was still considered as a cost only. It was the necessary evil. In people's mind, maintenance was literally a bunch of technicians sitting around in the workshop waiting for a piece of equipment to fail. Hopefully, those days are gone now, and people start seeing now the potential in maintenance. Companies realize that by improving the production line and so making them more reliable, actually contribute in reducing the costs and so potentially increasing the profit. But in order to realize those potential profits, the maintenance and service departments of companies must face some challenges. They have to optimize the maintenance or service execution while still, of course, maintaining the production assets in good condition, meeting SLA, also improving customer satisfaction, and all of that in a never-ending cost-cutting battle with less and less means and decreasing workforce. Which means that the resource utilizations becomes key as the efficiency of the resources is now a top priority. And this can only be achieved thanks to a flexible resource management. And so for companies to overcome those challenges, they must approach maintenance, planning, and scheduling as a profit center. So what is scheduling? Scheduling is the process by which jobs are matched with resources and sequenced to be executed at certain points in time. So here we have matching jobs with resources, but also sequencing the job so they can be executed at certain points in time. So how do you do that in SAP? Well, it's complicated because first of all, you don't have a proper scheduling solution in SAP. Of course, we have service orders, we have work orders, we have resources, we have work centers. So basically, we can do scheduling, but we have nothing that can match them in an efficient way. So what you do, what companies do most of the time is that they would use external scheduling solution, and the most common one is just Excel, an Excel sheet. And let's agree here that Excel is not a scheduling solution. It's just it's just an Excel sheet, But the problem with external solution is that you don't have the data in Excel, for example. So you need to build interfaces. You need to extract the data from SAP and get the data in Excel. And let's not forget about all the interfaces errors that you have to deal with. But you're not there yet because most of the time you don't work with real-time data. So at best, you would schedule based on yesterday data. So it means that in terms of efficiency, in terms of reactivity to urgency, you can't really do that because you don't have the real-time data. And the worst part is still that even if you build this scheduling in the external tool, such as Excel again, SAP is not updated. Because most of the time the interface that you build is only one direction. The data isn't getting back to SAP, which means that SAP is not aware of all the changes, all the dates that you've made, And so, for example, just to name inventory management. So SAP is not aware that all the spare parts reservation have moved, and so it cannot foresee stock issues. You cannot run MRP in an efficient way because SAP is just not aware of that. And so basically, we can say that the real downside is that you don't have integration by using those external solutions. No integration. So no integration means that you basically lose the biggest strength of SAP, which is the integration. This quote, people cannot be more productive than the system they work in allows them to be. And this quote has been basically our driver at SOA People to build our solution. And that's why we have at SOA People developed and put it on the market our solution, which is called Ready for Advanced Scheduling, which is a graphical scheduling cockpit, which is fully integrated in SAP. It allows you to schedule your work orders, service orders, and resources directly in SAP. It's graphical, which means that it's really rich from a visual point of view. It's user-friendly, super easy to use. Schedulers can start scheduling within hours of training. It is based on SAP latest technology. Advanced scheduling can now even be deployed in SAP Cloud Platform. And still, we are fully integrated in SAP. Today's subject is resource allocations. This is where we will spend most of the time of this webinar. So I'm not going to explain all the rest of the functionalities of our advanced scheduling tool. So allocation is about matching the right job to the right person at the right moment. And of course, having an insight in the real-time availability of our resources. We've seen from the definition is that scheduling is about matching jobs with resources. But in order to do that, you need to have a lot of information at your hand. You need to know what is the job. Is it corrective? Is it preventive? You need to know about the urgency. You need to know about the status of the job. You need to know about the craft that is needed to execute the job. Sometimes you have constraints coming from the production. Is the machine needs to be on, needs to be down? Do you need to have a green light from production, and so on? So you need a lot of information, and that is exactly what we have here. We offer with visual overview. We give you all that information, in just visually and graphically. You don't have to dig down deeper to have all that information. Everything is ready and available to you at a glance. With job splitting, you can actually cut a task in pieces. So you can allocate the task to several technicians, or you can decide to execute the task in different points in time. And of course, with skills, we support technician skills qualification, and the tool can help you finding the best technician based on the job requirements. Integration, really important with a tool. Of course, advanced scheduling is fully integrated with the maintenance or service modules in SAP, which means that you have access to all the maintenance or service orders, notification, everything. And it doesn't stop them, because not only you have access to all that information, but you can also update them. So all the scheduling, all the resource allocation that you do with advanced scheduling is immediately updated in the work order or service order. There is no delay, there is no interface, everything is in real time. Integration with the human resource, this is where we get information about people availability, people sickness or not, people skills, all of that come from the human resources. And inventory management, of course, for all the spare parts and all the stock check that we have with the tool. Google Maps is a nice feature for field service. You can track the technical object, the customer location, the service order's address on the map, of course, with traffic information. And based on the distance and the location, you can also define a sequence of execution, which means that you can define, based on the technician location, which order he needs to execute first based on a specific route. And this sequence, of course, will be the one you will get when you will allocate those jobs to the individual. And mobility, so you would actually allocate service orders or work orders to technicians with advanced scheduling. And the technicians, they will then receive those jobs, those orders on their mobile device when they synchronize. But the integration doesn't stop there because, of course, when the technician on location, he will execute the job, he will then start the job, and so he will send status back to SAP, and which means that in advanced scheduling, you can really monitor the execution because you will see when a technician has started the job, when he finishes it, or maybe sometimes he just paused the job so he can start another one. So you will see all of that in real time in advanced scheduling. Okay, so let me show you that in our tool. Actually, we have solution for all the main steps in the maintenance or service business process. We have solution in order preparation, in scheduling, of course, resource allocation and execution. But today, I will, like I said, we will be focusing on the resource allocation only part. When it comes to resource allocation, so advanced scheduling is targeting the maintenance and field service line of business, which means that we have a solution for both line of business. But in reality, dispatching maintenance or dispatching service is different. For maintenance, for example, the dispatching, the work allocation is really work driven. It's really the work that's gonna decide when you want to execute the job, because depending on the type of the task, the priority, because depending on production constraint, regulation, and so on. So it's really based on the task itself, which is really the driver for dispatching, instead of for the service, which is more the technician availability. We also have a lot of external workers in maintenance. So there are plants where most of the workers are external. So this is something we have to take into account with maintenance dispatching. Okay, so let me just switch to the tool. So here we are. Maybe just do a quick refresh to make sure that I'm still connected. So this is ready for advanced scheduling, running from SAP Cloud Platform. So let me walk you through the tool before I actually start the demo. On the upper part here, what we have is the work center. So the work center is called here Team MR. This is the name of my work center, and I have all the technician, that belongs to my work center here. So I have all the people there. We have a bit of their abilities or skills. So here we have an elec guy. We have here a mech guy. This one can be mech, elec, and clim, for example. And on the right-hand side, we have for each person, his availability, his work schedule, and his current work allocation. So, for example, here we see that Mr. here Olivier, he starts working at 8 until 4. This is the way what you see here, white area and gray area. He has some allocation job already. For example, this job is allocated to him. You see that we can have different work schedules. So people working early shift, like this example, or maybe the week after, those persons they will work late shift here, as opposed to the other person who work normal shift. So this is something we can easily manage, and you see that visually you know exactly when a person is working and not. In the upper part here, what we see is the workload versus the capacity of the work center. So here we can read 25 hours of workload. That would be the sum of all the allocation on that work center for that day, and this 73.5, which be the total capacity of the work center. In the lower part, what we have is a list of work orders, which in this case I have selected my work list based on my planner group. Of course, we have all the selection criteria that you would expect from an SAP work order. So it could be work centers, function allocation, planner group, location, and so on. So basically, all the relevant information can be used to build that list. Here, so we have the work center, the work order number, and many information there. of course, if I want more information, I can always go to the list and add fields as I want to. You have recognized that those fields are SAP fields. So it's really we have SAP information and only SAP. So it's not like you have to learn new wording or new definition. It's really SAP that we're talking about here. And like I said, it doesn't look like it, but we are in SAP here. I am not using a tool coming from a different system. I am using SAP here, but with a nice cockpit, which is advanced scheduling. On the right-hand side, what we have is basically those orders, but now they are drawn in a Gantt chart. So I can see when they are currently scheduled. So this job is scheduled for Thursday. You see, this job, I can read the short text. And this job has 3 operations. I can also see each operation. I can even see the workload for each operation here, 4 hours, 4 hours. 101, 102 here is actually the functional location, and all the text that you see here, what I'm reading here, all the text, they are actually customizable. So you can, if you don't want to see the functional location, if you work with equipment, for example, then you can change easily, and we could have the equipment number here instead of the functional location, and so on. You see, you also notice that we have different colors. I have green there, I have brown there, yellow, and so each color can be customized based on the order type, based on the status of the order, based on the activity type. So here, this example, this one is green. Why? Because this one is actually released. So the status is released, and you can even see that when I'm putting my mouse over, I can see the long text. The status of the work order. It's released. This one is actually not released. That's why it's in brown. And to show you that we are actually in SAP, let's go down. I have an example here. I believe an example of a work order, which is this one, for example. You see this one, it's in red. Why? Because this one has the status missing part, which means that this one has actually an issue with inventory. I can check that. I can see that this order is actually has 1 spare part, which is not available. I need 1, and there's zero availability. So I can easily check that, and so now, of course, here I'm using a daily period view. If you want to see more detail, I can of course switch to an hourly view. Then you will see that the display is a bit different. So I have more detail in my scheduling. But let's go back to daily. So for the purpose of this demonstration. Okay, so let me start by doing a simple scheduling task. Gonna go up. I think I have an example here I can use. Yes. Let's take, for example, this order right here. I have this operation 10, which is a couple of hours, which is scheduled on the 26th of September. So I am gonna pick, for example, Sven there. He's available. So I'm gonna just take this and drop it on Sven. And you see here, the system tells me that, okay, I want to allocate this operation from this order on the 26th, starting at 8 a.m., 2 hours to Sven. I can validate. And now you can see that the job is actually allocated to Sven here. I can see that. And I can also read that here, that this operation now is currently assigned to Sven. But I can also do that, and let's say I want to work in teams, so I'm going to allocate the same job to Frédéric here. Same stuff, and now I will see that I actually have 2 technicians there, Sven and Frédéric, and I can also look at their specialties. So of course I chose two mech guys to perform this job easily. Another example would be this one here. I have a job here, you see, with 3 operations, and let's say, okay, I want to assign the whole job to 1 person. So what I just did was allocating 1 operation. Now I'm going to allocate the whole job. So I take the whole job. So I pick the work order header, and let's go to this person, Jose. So now it says assign multiple operation from this order to that person. Now you will see that the system actually allocated the 3 operation to my order. You also notice that whatever I do, for example, if I take this operation and I want to allocate that on the Thursday 30, the system still take the date of my operation instead. You see, it was the first and not the third. Why? Because in maintenance, like I said, this is really the work which is the main driver. So in this example, we customize the system so the system will always allocate based on the date of my operation. What if I want to change that? For example, here I have an example. I have this job with 3 operations. Both all the operations are allocated to individuals. Here we have Olivier, and the third one to Alan. So basically Olivier there and Alan there. And basically here I have an issue because actually you can see that. No, I'm sorry, not in this case. So what I'm going to do is I might want to do this job maybe on the Friday. Let's say that for some reason I cannot do this on Thursday. So I'm going to move my job like this to the day after. And then you see that all the allocation will be moved as well. And now, since on Friday we cannot perform the 3 operations because I have 4 hours, 4 hours of 8. So the system says, okay, the next date to finish the job would be on Monday because it skipped the weekend because Alan here doesn't work on the Saturday. But maybe I don't want that. So what I can do is I can also move just this operation, and maybe I want to execute it, at the same time as a operation 20, and now the system just with my spare parts that I have an issue with here. So remember, this order has a spare parts issue, and I can also see that here I have an issue because I have a conflict. This job, Olivier has already another job to perform on the same date, which is another order. You see the order number. He has another job to do. So not only I have an issue with my spare parts, but also with Olivier availability. So I'm going to solve that by actually taking this order, and I know that I have a purchase order which is ready on Monday for that part. So if I move this job to Monday, like this, not only the system will move the job. You see now, now the status is available. So that's why my order now is in green. So I know that everything's going to be okay for me. And also I fixed my availability issue because now the job here is on Monday for Olivier. So I also fixed my conflict issue with Olivier's scheduling. I did allocation by allocating a job to individuals, but of course it's also possible to do the other way around. So for example, here, if I want to allocate, let's say, Frédéric to this operation, I can also take Frédéric and just, dropping him on the allocation, like this. And so I will also allocate Frédéric on the job. And you see now I have Frédéric on top of the other person here. So it's also possible to do that. In terms of reporting, what we have is we have this reporting, which take the date here first, on the 23rd. Yep. This reporting that shows my work center, my people, current allocation. So, for example, in green means that, okay, this person is supposed to work 8 hours on that date, and I've allocated the full day. So that's why it's in green. But maybe for Leo, he has currently only 4 hours on that date. That's why we have that in orange. And if I would have here, for example, I have 12 hours, so I over allocated on Alan. That's why it's in red. So that report shows me a quick overview of my current team allocation. I can also, of course, show the weekly planning. So everything that I did, I can now execute it and have a nice report, with all my team members, with all the jobs they are currently allocated to, and I can see when they have to execute those jobs. So here, 2 hours on Monday, 4 hours on Friday for that job, and again for my technician here, Frédéric, I can see that he has 2 jobs, and those jobs are 1 hour there and 2 hours there. So this is something you can easily print or export to Excel and then give it to the people. Something I also have to mention here, you also see here a leave. So we can also work, of course, with absence. So just by creating an absence in the tool, we can also create the absence in the tool, and you can see that the scheduler will see that that person is actually not available on this date. Yeah. I didn't show you the external worker, but it's also possible, of course, to have external work centers and external worker in case you work with a subcontractor. So you done already the reporting. And now moving on to the service dispatching, which is different. Yes and no. Yes, it is different because in service, we are not really work-driven. It's more technician-driven. Why? Because we have work coming from different customers. So most of the time, all the work service orders, they are not linked with each other. You don't have to have like in maintenance shutdown to respect a certain sequence. In field service, it's really about the technician availability. We have to optimize the resource utilization. We have to optimize the daily traveling of our resource. So that's why geographical information is important. That's why we have this Google Map integration. And also because in service it's more hectic. You are more likely to change the scheduling based on customer availability, based on urgency and so forth. So the approach is different. That's why we have also a different way to address this. Is this view. So let me do a quick refresh, make sure that I'm still connected. Yes. So you see here we have a different approach in the way that in the lower part here, okay, looks like it's not refreshing. So in the lower part of this view, we have we don't have actually all the jobs, in all the jobs in a Gantt view, but we have them in the list view. Because it's not important to see them in the Gantt view, because basically you don't need to have to have relationship or dependencies between the jobs. So each job is just normally a different customer. But on the upper part, we have the exact same view: work centers with individuals. And on the list here, what you see, for example, I have this job, operation 10, 12 hours, 12 hours of job. The duration is 6 hours, and I can scroll, of course. I can see that it's scheduled on the 26th currently. So the system says 26. But again, this is just a list. Of course, I also have the customer, the address, the location. So, for example, I would work with a list of job, grouped by location. And what I do is, okay, it's the same. So now if I want to allocate this job, I just pick it and drop it, for example, there. Then I allocate this job to this individual. You see, I can do the same with, for example, this one. I have an example here of 16 hours. I have 16 hours, and this is the difference between maintenance and service. Also, 16 hours. If I allocate that to that person, for example, on that date, is now I actually have 8 hours only allocated instead of 16. Why? Because we basically work on a day per day basis with this with service. But I can also, of course, change that. I can delete, of course, the allocation, and do the same now. If I just reallocate that to that person, now I decide to allocate the whole job to that person, then the system now will create two. You see that it actually creates two allocations because we cut the 16 hours into two pieces. So now maybe I can reallocate this job to another person, for example, you see. And so decide to do a two-man's job like this. Of course, I can move around my allocation. I can also assign in mass. I can select several operations and allocating them at once. All of that is possible. Let's go back to my presentation. So this was quickly field service dispatching. Okay, so in order to conclude this presentation, we know that SAP is important to you. We know that to implement SAP requires a lot of energy and time. So that's why we want you to maximize your SAP implementation. We don't want you to leave SAP to Excel or to whatever. We want you to stay in SAP. That's why we have built advanced scheduling, so you can really capitalize and maximize your SAP implementation. Advanced scheduling is fully standard. We only rely on SAP object, SAP data. Everything that I've done today is done using SAP objects, so we don't have any custom tables to store the scheduling or the allocation information. Everything is stored in the service or work orders. You have now the possibility to allocate in SAP thanks to advanced scheduling, powerful graphical user interface, and still being in SAP. So you are still in SAP, you haven't left SAP, so we don't have any interfacing. We are natively integrated in SAP. We are, of course, compatible with your own specifics logic because we are fully standard, so we are also compatible with your own settings and own logic. So it's logic. Advanced scheduling with it at SOA People, we build this tool based on SAP technology, and we of course follow SAP technology and evolution. Advanced scheduling exists for more than 10 years now. It has started with SAP 4.5 version, and now all the way to S/4HANA, of course, with all the ECC versions supported. And so at SOA People, it's a commitment for us to follow SAP evolution and make sure that our tool will always be compatible with SAP evolution, which means that for you, advanced scheduling is a solution which is future-proof and enduring, because you will always have the guarantee that it will follow SAP evolution, SAP new technology. And finally, with advanced scheduling, it's really plug and plan. You plug the tool, and you can start scheduling and planning directly. Why? Because you can start using it with your own data and your own PM or CS implementation. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. I see that it's a little bit over 30 minutes. I'm really sorry for the timing. Now let's see if we have questions. Sorry, if we have questions. Let me see the question in the chat. Okay, so it looks like we don't have any questions so far. Yeah, I see that a question is popping up in the. Mark, hi Mark. Can you allocate machines like scaffolding? Yes, of course we have. We can also allocate tools. This is what we have. We call tools. So we can just like a technician, you can also see the availability of your tools. For example, you have a crane. You can have a scaffolding, like example. Your question. You can have a drill or an elevator, anything that you would require to do a job. Then you can see those resources. Then you can see their availability, and of course you can allocate jobs to tools as well. Because for some in some industry, toolings are as important as labor resource. I hope I answer your question. If you have questions, don't hesitate. I'm here to answer the questions. We are a little bit over the 30 minutes mark, but it's okay. But it's no problem if you have questions. Just feel free. Yeah, Martin. One more question. Do you have solutions for the work preparation? Yes, actually we do. So here today we talked about scheduling. So we saw what is scheduling is. But actually we do also have a solution for work preparation. So basically all the work preparation, like filling in the work orders with as much relevant information as possible, defining the resource you need to perform the job, the spare parts and everything, detailing the job, all of that, we have a solution which is called Ready for Advanced Planning, because work preparation is actually planning the job. And we also have solutions for that to enhance and improve your master data, such as task lists, bill of materials. We have solutions that allows you to take advantage of the maintenance history, all the history, all the job you've done, all the spare parts you have used on machines, on functional location. We have tools that allows you to look for that information and actually capitalize on the maintenance history, because we allow you to enrich or to build or to change task lists and bill of materials based on the maintenance history. I hope that answers your question, Mark. Yeah, no problem. Okay, if we don't have questions, thank you very much for your attention. Before you leave, we would really appreciate if you could spend a couple of minutes in the polls answering the questions. Again, thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.